Hi everyone, it's John from What Up, and welcome back to another video. Now, in the last couple of years since the Wheel of Time has been in production, there's been a ton of leaks. Everything from set videos, set pictures, castings, to the cast themselves making little oopsies here and there and giving us information that maybe they shouldn't have. Now, this all culminated a couple of months ago when people started talking about screeners. Yes, there were screeners for the first 3 episodes, and in some very rare cases, the first 4 episodes, and a lot of people did get to see them. This was mostly done digitally, and they had to sign NDAs so they wouldn't talk about it. However, a few people found themselves on Reddit talking about it, little tidbits here and there, and in some cases, some people gave entire synopsis of these episodes. Now, I will stress that these screeners were rough cuts, no VFX, no music, and a lot has changed. There was a lot of placeholders and stuff in there, so when we see the final version in November, if any of you have read any of those particular very detailed leaks that were up shortly on Reddit months ago, they're not really going to describe accurately what we're going to see when it drops on Amazon Prime. Now, within the last couple of weeks, there's been another Reddit user who basically said they've seen the entire first season and they outlined it for everyone. Now, I'm going to cover that leak in this video, and I'm basically going to go into why it is just brilliant fan fiction, and that's pretty much what it is, and we'll talk about that during this. Now, before we get into any of that, if you aren't a subscriber to the channel, click that button and the notification bell. I put out 1 to 2 videos per week, and they're all Wheel of Time on Prime centric. So everything and anything to do with the Amazon Prime production, I cover here in the channel. Now, before we do get into the video, spoiler warning, in this video, I'm going to talk about a leak that covers the first season of Amazon Prime's Wheel of Time series. So if you haven't read at least the first book of the Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan, that's The Eye of the World, be forewarned, it may ruin major plot points and character arcs because I'm going to compare this to the novel, and we're going to talk about some things we do know. So it's probably going to ruin a few things for you. Alright, all of that being said, let's get on to the video. Alright, so we're going to talk just a bit about a leak today by a Reddit user by the name of the Fourth Taveran. Now, this Reddit user basically claimed they'd seen the entire first season through their contacts in the entertainment industry, who was a friend of theirs, gave them the first season to view. They went on Reddit, they wrote a post about it, basically outlining the first 8 episodes in sort of point form, and then they did an AMA in the question and answer comment section down below. So when this came out, I was blown away. I read it. I salivated over it just like everyone else did. There was a lot of discussion on a bunch of different social media platforms, and it spawned a few news articles, including this one here by Barside Buzz. I've left a link to this article and the Reddit post down below in the description box if you folks want to read them at your own leisure after you watch this video, of course. So when all this happened, when I read it, there was enough in it that rang true to me that I was like, man, maybe they have seen the entirety of the first season. I reached out to this particular Reddit user and they never got back to me. I'm not entirely surprised. The only post they put up was this particular post. There's nothing else under that Reddit user name, just that and the answers to questions down below. So when they didn't reply, I reached out to production. And again, this was not a quick thing. I didn't do it right away. The Reddit post is still up and it's been well over a week now. And I asked production, I said, is it possible that someone has seen the entire first season? And I asked a couple of people this, and I got the same answer from more than one person, and that was, it's almost impossible. Very, very few people have seen it, and even less people have access to it. And those people who have seen it are all involved in production, and they're working the show. So they are actively involved in making the show. It's not just like they'd have somebody come in and screen it off the street, or some particular person who have access to every single episode to do a little bit of VFX for on their own at home. They said it was very tightly controlled, so it's almost impossible. When they say almost impossible, that means there's still small bits of room of doubt there that's possible, but they also said they were aware of the Reddit post and they were not worried about it. So if production is telling me they're not worried about it, then I would say this is probably going to be filed under take with a giant grain of salt, probably brilliant fan fiction. But I still wanted to go through the post itself because some things rang true, and a lot of it seems to be extrapolated from leaks we've already seen, and as well as some of the promotional material and teasers we've seen too. So it's almost as if anyone who watches my channel basically could have went out and wrote this post without really having any more information. So there's that. So this here's the post. I'm going to read it. I have it up here on my phone. I can't read on the screen. My eyes are old. But we're going to go through a few different points here. There is a sex scene in the show between Rand and Egwene. No nudity. There is, however, nudity present in other scenes. That is, in my opinion, entirely believable because we've seen images like this in the teasers where it looks like Rand and Egwene have an adult relationship. Let's face it, they have a relationship. They didn't really in the books. I never believed they did, even though it kind of said they did. So I think they're going to play that up a bit more since the characters are aged up. So that point right there, there's no real special information there. I believe that they're probably going to do this, and it's not a stretch to pull that from some of the promotional material we've seen. Second one, Sen is not referred to by name in the show. This was very clearly changed after filming, as there are weird edits used whenever his name would normally be said. It's possible, although I'm going to say there's probably not going to be weird edits. For a polished show to pop up on Amazon Prime, you're not going to see weird edits. That's more of something you'd see. You wouldn't even see that on, say, the CW or local channels. They usually pride themselves on doing that. Maybe they removed his name. It's entirely possible. We do know from the London footage that Sen does get injured during the attack and allegedly dies. And I say allegedly because it's said that he dies on screen, but is kind of left up in the air a little bit. So entirely possible. Third one, Egwene is referred to as a Ta'veren, Nynaeve, however, is not. Now this is, again, possible because all of the promotional material seems to include Egwene in talking about the dragon because they use very general neutral terms. They include her in a lot of the shots when they're talking about power and the dragon and things like that. And I believe, and a lot of the fandom does too, that they're probably going to include her in guessing who the dragon is, and that's for the non-book readers. They're probably going to try to keep it a secret longer. I don't know why they made that decision. However, I believe that's probably what they're going to do. Matt is written out of the last 2 episodes off screen. He last appears in Season 1, Episode 6. The explanation is that Matt became ill upon reaching Faldera. It's possible. We do know that all the promotional material we've seen from the show so far, Barney Harris is shown up to and including Episode 6, because that's where the Waygate is. That's where they enter the Waygate. After that, we have Faldera in Episode 7 and 8, and what we assume would be the Blight and maybe the Eye of the World. However, we've seen absolutely 0 shots from those 2 episodes, as far as we know. They seem to be keeping them very secret along with the titles. So, to make a claim like this, there's no way of proving or disproving this. Moiraine says she doesn't know if the Dark One is looking for a boy or a girl. This is the explanation given for why Egwene is brought along. Again, the promotional material already seems to suggest that, so it's not a reach that they took that from there. Liandrin causes Loghain's breakout by allowing the shield to weaken. She does this because Karine mentions to her that the Black Aja are not real, with the intention of allowing Loghain to kill Karine. Again, entirely believable. Karine's storyline from New Spring, she's killed by the Black Aja. We know Liandrin is Black Aja. We know that Loghain is probably billed as one of the big bads the first quarter, if not half arc of the season. At least that's what some of the teasers are showing us. So it would not shock me that they introduced this stuff that early, and that's not a big stretch to pull from stuff we've already seen. Perrin has a girlfriend who he marries on the night of the Prologue attack. She dies whilst Perrin is defending himself with an axe, but it's not clear what exactly caused her death. We do know that Helena Westerman is playing Lila Abera. We've seen Lila in the last teaser, Moraine's Quest, and we are pretty sure they are at least romantically involved, if not married. There was a leak from Bounding into Comments well over a year ago saying that they were married, and Perrin kills her himself by accident on the night of Winter Night during the Prologue attack, and that's part of the reason why he's so slow and deliberate and kind of withdrawn for the rest of the series. However, we do know for sure, and this is not a leak or a rumor, that the London footage did show us Perrin with Helena Westerman, Lila, and they were romantically involved. Don't know if they're married, don't know if anything else is going on there, but at the very least, we know that they're a couple. Min is a soldier at Faldera. She still has the same humor, though. Again, we know nothing about Episodes 7 and 8. We do know that Min, Kay Alexander, is introduced in Episode 7, so entirely possible, I guess. Nynaeve never goes to Shadar Logoth. She meets Lan after everyone has escaped from there and asks her to help. He asks her to help Moiraine, who is injured. Again, this has been a fan theory for a very long time. It's been discussed by a bunch of people. This is not new. And a lot of the teasers we've seen sort of seem to support the fact that Nynaeve meets them after Shadar Logoth. The prologue is shown in Episode 4. It's done completely in the Old Tongue, and Ishamael's face is not visible during the scene. Now, this one here I know a little bit more about because I had the casting for the dragon, Lews Therin Telamon, and that was played by Alexander Karim. He's a Swedish actor. I had that exclusive end of summer, I believe. I was not given any information about the scene he was in other than the fact that he does speak the Old Tongue and he does it well. I said that in my video. I was not told who else was on the scene. I was not told what the scene was, although it's not a big stretch, and a lot of people seem to think they're going to recreate the prologue, recreate Winter Dragon, so to speak. So seeing Ishamael on screen, again, not a big stretch. Although, if they're going to do it, I think we're probably going to see Ishamael well before Episode 4. We'll probably see it in the boys' dreams. So not a big reach here for them to pull that out of thin air, although it is entirely believable. I don't know if it happens in Episode 4 or not, though. Moiraine goes to Tar Valon before reuniting with the other characters to go to Faldera. She brings along no extra Aes Sedai because the Hall becomes hostile towards her in light of Kareen's death, which she is blamed for. Swan is unable to sway them. She instead has to leave Tar Valon in secret. Again, entirely plausible, entirely possible. A lot of the production stuff that they've released seems to support that. The last episode features Balazamon, again, I'm mispronouncing things, sorry, portrayed through CGI, tricking Rand into using Saidin in the Eye of the World, which causes one of the seals to break. This results in the rest of the Forsaken breaking free. Again, entirely possible. There's been a lot of speculation what they're going to do there, and they're keeping all of episodes 7 and 8 completely secret. We know nothing about it. We've seen very little shots of it. We've seen the behind-the-scenes pictures of Faldera. We've seen the Roots shoots from WatchSeries.com, which we think are the Blight, but we're not 100% sure. We don't know the episode titles. We don't know who's there. We don't know who's playing in the Forsaken. They're keeping a lot of that very close to the vest. So again, not entirely outlandish and entirely possible. So then we're going to go through. He did a bunch of questions and answers, and it was all basic. Some basic questions like, is there political stuff? Yes, there's political stuff going on in Tar Valon scenes. The Aushers are shown to be making alliances with each other, and Swan is shown to be losing control of Tar Valon. They talk about nudity. They don't draw much attention to it. There's a few scenes in which some women are topless or partially topless, but there's no explicit male nudity. There's no mention of the Seanchan, but Arthur Hawkwing is mentioned in reference to the Aes Sedai 3 Oaths. There is a lot of stuff here. So it talks about Matt. Matt seems more confident with women than he was at the start of the books. Perrin, for obvious reasons, is focused for a while on his dead wife. Rand is the only one who's retained his struggle to understand women from the books. All right, so I've left a link to the Reddit post down below in the description box if you folks want to read it yourselves. If you want to read all of the questions and answers without scrolling through all the comments, just click on their name and you go through their post history. Basically, the only thing they've ever posted from this account was this article and the questions and answers down below. That's pretty much it. So it's pretty easy to scroll through it. And again, I do want to reiterate, I did reach out to this person. They did not get back to me, so I couldn't verify one way or another if it was any veracity of this at all. However, my contacts in production were not worried about it. They didn't seem to think it was true, and they said there's absolutely no way someone has seen the entire first season. So make of this what you will at this point. I can't completely verify it one way or another, but a lot of this stuff does seem to make sense. A lot of the stuff seems to be verified by things that were already out at the time this article was written, and the things that it does talk about that we can't verify, we have not seen since the article. So there's no way of saying yes or no to a lot of this different stuff. I know there's been a lot of discussion in the points down below, and the general consensus of a lot of people in the fandom was very skeptical of this particular article, and I think that's mainly due to the fact that there was very little proof, and some of the things didn't quite jive with a few of the things we've seen or heard. That could be due to the way they wrote it up, or the missing points. I have no idea. I do want to give them the benefit of the doubt. But my own personal opinion is this is brilliant fan fiction pulled from a lot of the leaks that most people in the fandom already have access to. So there's that. Let me know in the comments down below what you folks think. Is it brilliant fan fiction? Is it possibly true? Do you think that this is how the first season will go? And if so, what did you like about it? If any of you know the poster out there, or if you are the poster watching this video, reach out to me. My email's in the description box. I would love to hear from you. If I can verify your claims that you've seen the first season, and I have ways of doing that, I will definitely make a second video and say, it's not fan fiction. Not at all. They've definitely seen it. So, again, if you're watching, reach out to me. And if you know the person, tell them to reach out to me. All right. Thank you so much for sticking with me here to the very end. And here's to many more.